Hello, and welcome to week 2 of our Open SAP course. My name is Sarah Foley. In week 1, we gave an introduction to the course and introduced the topic of design. Today, we will go into more depth on what design is and its value to successful organizations. Design thinking, human-centered design, and user experience design are about creating holistic and carefully curated experiences that come from understanding the needs of the users, their goals, and addressing their current pain points. It is a set of processes which facilitate convergent and divergent thinking in the aid of crafting novel solutions. Because of this focus on the user, the product or service that is created has a higher chance of meeting their expectations, therefore increasing adoption. In design-led teams, design increases time to market, product market fit, user satisfaction, revenue, and total returns to shareholders, as shown in a Forrester Total Economic Impact Study commissioned by IBM in 2018. This study showed that by implementing design thinking in product teams, these product teams doubled execution speed, project defects were cut in half, and portfolio profitability increased by $18.1 million, leading to an ROI of 301%. Other studies have shown similar metrics. For instance, McKinsey's report on the business value of design, published in 2018. This report demonstrated that design-led organizations such as Apple, Coca-Cola, and others increased their revenues and market share at twice the rate of their industry counterparts. So now we'll look at some real-world examples of the business case for good design from Apple and OXO. So when Apple discontinued the earbud jack in 2016, iPhone users needed to either convert their headphones with the use of an adapter or purchase wireless options. At that time, Bluetooth headphones were not a seamless experience, nor were they user-friendly. Apple was able to fill this gap with AirPods. AirPods are not the best-sounding headphones, but they solved all the major pain points users were having, such as pairing, case size, day-to-day operation, and ecosystem coupling. So by understanding the user and solving for their pain points, Apple was able to make some technological trade-offs, lowering sound quality for increased ease of use. Users cared more about them being user-friendly than they did about the sound. AirPods were able to capture 60% of the wireless earbud market. AirPods as a business alone would rank 384 in the Fortune 500 list, grossing $6 billion in revenue in 2019. AirPods show how solving customer pain points translates to product viability and big profits. Now, let's look at OXO's measuring cup product. For those unfamiliar with the brand, OXO's mission is to make every day easier through designing inclusive tools. The company started after the founder's wife complained about how tools in the kitchen were hard to hold and use due to her arthritis. So in an effort to alleviate his wife's pain, he started OXO to create tools that she could use with ease. This was then known as the Good Grips line. So with an intention of expanding this line, designers interviewed users around measuring cups. So not only did they talk to them about measuring cups to understand their preferences, but they observed how they were using them while cooking. One thing that they noticed were that users were constantly bending down to see how much of an ingredient was in the measuring cup. It was reported that these users bent down to as much as 4 to 5 times to get an accurate measurement. So when probed about their preferences, this was not seen as an issue, only a typical part of the measuring process. So the designers then took this insight and turned it into an award-winning product. So design was integral to learning about the context of the product, then looking for non-obvious insights that were then able to turn into opportunities for product innovation. Now, we'll look at an example that failed from a design and business value perspective. Juicera was a $400 Wi-Fi connected juicer. The idea was simple: quick and easy, cold pressed juice without a lot of cleanup. The juice would be a subscription service, came in bags of chopped ingredients. You would take this bag, place it in the machine, and the machine would squeeze the bag, successfully juicing the contents. This seemed like a great idea to investors and was able to capture 118.5 million total in funding. The implementation of this, however, was an expensive machine that squeezed bags of fruit, which were just as easily squeezed by hand. Juicero is a beautiful solution to a non-existent problem, unfolded within 18 months. So had Juicero deployed the design methodology throughout the process of defining and developing their products and services, they probably would have developed something else that solved the needs of their target users and probably would still be around. Design is about understanding and developing products that fit in the user's day-to-day life. It is less about making things look pretty. Beautifying Juicero machines did not help save Juicero. Poor user experience leads to decreased adoption. The product fails in the marketplace because users will not adopt it due to low desirability or poor usability, wasted development. Technical debt can accrue by developing features that are not wanted or used by the end users. There can be high support costs. Excessive customer service calls or consultations are needed to help the customer install and use the product. Customer escalations. When a product truly does not meet the customer needs, unplanned and highly expensive rework can result. So let's take some time to define some common terms that often get mistaken for the same thing. Design. Design is a process or methodology like design thinking that we use to help us achieve a desired user experience. It's a way to achieve a goal or solve a problem while creating a product or service. User experience. As the name implies, it is everything the user feels and experiences as they interact with the product or service. User interface. It's the interactive part of a digital product through which the user operates or interacts with that product. It can include voice, interface, buttons, sensors, or any other input mechanisms. Usability. Usability is how easily the user navigates through the user interface. To better understand these terms, let's look at them in the context of designing an elevator system. The UX is the logic of how elevators behave. So understanding the user patterns is key to ensure a good user experience. You'd want to look at how and when people move in and out of the building so that the elevator is positioned on key floors at key times. For example, people leave their apartments in the morning, meaning the elevator should automatically move from the ground floor to the middle of the apartment block so that they are quicker to pick people up. Likewise, when people come back home, elevators should move down to the ground floor after they drop people off at their floors. The UI is the operational buttons inside and outside of the elevator. Good UX doesn't just apply to interfaces or software. It can apply to anything. It's just the adjustment of patterns and logic that fit to the user's needs, resulting in happier users. Enterprise UX is the design of software that helps people do their jobs in the most efficient and effective way possible. Enterprise UX is different than consumer UX in that consumer applications usually have use cases that are fairly straightforward, serving a single purpose. Enterprise software scope is much more vast, involving complex business processes, spanning many functions across multiple frameworks and legacy systems. For example, consider designing for the experience of buying, or in enterprise terms, procurement. As a consumer, your daily shopping experience is pretty straightforward. It's rare that you'll buy more than 100 items in a day. And if you do need to ask for permission for your shopping, it's most likely from your partner or family. However, in the world of supply chain, a procurement specialist is responsible for hundreds, if not thousands, of different items day to day. And the procurement process can involve back and forth communications with different vendors and approvals from multiple departments, and potentially millions of transactions. From this example, you can start to understand how complex it can be to design for enterprise software. Some other key differences are the high stakes involved. Because enterprise software enables people to do their jobs, there are higher stakes when it fails. Most companies have SLAs or service level agreements in place to protect their businesses in case of software performance issues. These contracts can include insecurity and business results, which need to be strictly adhered to. Another issue is that enterprise software is usually purchased for the user, not by the user. It's purchased by committees. Users don't usually get a say in what product that they use, so there's usually a disconnect to get to the end users. There's product flexibility. Products need to be robust yet flexible, as software needs to be customized to each customer's processes and needs. There are global considerations. Enterprise UX must design for many different types of users from different industries, cultures, languages, and abilities. And then there's product standards. Relevant to the higher stakes involved, there are much more rigid product standards to be considered. And so to design for enterprise software, there are much more restrictions. Among all kinds of product standards, accessibility and consistency are the two most common standards for design. These standards are not optional but mandatory. To do business in the public sector, for example, the software must absolutely follow all these product standards. So in summary, enterprise UX must ensure integration across multiple platforms, frameworks, and other software, which can be very challenging for implementation or changes in a design or design system. At this point, you may be wondering, how can I improve the UX of the product I'm working on? And what are the benefits of adopting a design system? Design systems deliver more value in less time. They provide assets and guidelines for product teams to use across different products. Imagine if there was no design system in place. Product teams would have to go through the repetitive process of creating similar assets from scratch. By utilizing a design system, you are leveraging work already created. Design systems also ensure that the product standards are met, as they are built around this. For Fiori, we have put in countless hours into accessibility testing and efforts around consistency and globalization. Design systems also ensure better collaboration and knowledge sharing. One design system improves the communication and collaboration across different product teams. Everyone can stay on the same page, and they can share knowledge quickly. Another benefit is that new team members have a much easier time onboarding. There's a common bias that design systems limit creativity, but in reality, it frees up the time wasted on repetitive work so that product teams can focus on identifying the right problem to solve, coming up with more creative solutions and impactful solutions. So today, we talked about the value of design, defined some design terms, and examined the benefits of using a design system. Next time, we will dive into SAP Design System Fiori 3. Thank you.